Infiniti G35. 260 horsepower, sport-tuned suspension, Motor Trend 2003 Car of the Year.
Woo! You guys would not believe how long it took me to get this audio right. But anyway, it's time we have a conversation around Infiniti, and not in the way that you think. So apparently, some time ago, Infiniti announced that they were willing to bring back the manual for their sports sedans. Now, this is a very interesting time for Infiniti considering all the things they've been dealing with financially. And I got to thinking, because I'm always thinking, let's talk about why Infiniti is a big deal for them to bring this car back. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about that. What's up, guys? My name is Chris, and welcome to The Breakdown, where we talk about everything cars, news, and reviews. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and as always, if you're not, welcome back. So, Infiniti recently announced that they were going to be bringing back the manual transmission for their sports sedans, something along the lines of what the Q60 used to be. And you all, as enthusiasts and a fellow enthusiast myself, I understand the sentiment of bringing a manual back. But I may have a slightly controversial take. Well, it's not really controversial. It just sounds controversial. I don't know, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, whatever. But I think that it's not just about bringing back the manuals, but there's more to expound upon than just bringing it back for the sake of performance. And in this video, I really want to discuss that. So we're not only going to talk about Infiniti and where they are, because I think everybody clearly knows where they are, but the potential and the importance of bringing this vehicle with the manual transmission and the VQ V6 with also the twin turbo is what they said they would bring back is a very important and bold move for Infiniti, and why this could change the direction of Infiniti as we know it, or it could not. So with that being said, if this is something of interest to you, stick around and stay tuned, because you are now watching The Breakdown. Okay, so as a background story, I happen to be looking around because I have to kind of look for this stuff every single week. Sometimes I can't quite find what I need to find, but whatever. And I happen to run across the big note that Infiniti was planning on bringing back the manual. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with Infiniti, they have had what I always like to claim everybody has, somewhat of an identity crisis. And if we're being honest, a lot of car companies now are struggling to find the form themselves, particularly due to regulations, as well as the constant shift of back and forth of whether or not EVs, hybrids, and ICEs can all coexist in the same universe. Now, one of the reasons why Infiniti has been struggling, of course you all know, is because the company the brand as a whole has been not really investing within itself. Nissan has tried to bend backwards and try to make some things more performance oriented, but it just seems like they can't get the right foot forward. Now, we're not talking about Nissan today. Nissan has tried to offer a few things, and I think one of the best things that they've offered is not only the cheap Versa as an alternative for people to get affordable transportation, but more importantly, the Nissan Z, which is the bigger performance models next to the GTR, which recently will be ceasing to exist very, very soon. But on the Infiniti side, they have really struggled to capture the masses or they've really struggled to capture the luxury market. Now, I'm going to go on record and say that a lot of car companies, regardless if it's Japanese luxury, Korean luxury, or even German luxury, and even American luxury, everybody is struggling to make things more dynamic and attractive for buyers. Even now, you know, Lincoln is a great example of has all of the right tech, all of the right features, but it just doesn't capture the market. Infiniti, by comparison to Acura, have not really been their former selves. It's almost like they're getting older and now their ankles are starting to hurt. That's one of my favorite phrases, by the way.
Dark, handsome, dark!
Being that they are planning to bring back this manual, we have not seen a manual transmission Infiniti since about the 2014-2015 era of the last Q60, which used to be the G37, and the G37 and G35, when they came out back in 2003, were a big deal. It was one of the first times that you could get a BMW-like car at a relatively affordable price and still get the same level of performance of close to a Nissan Z without looking like you were 15 and trying to get a car that you couldn't really afford. Now, in all fairness, luxury cars are designed to be more comfort. They're not necessarily designed for sport. It just happens to be that many of the car companies today have found a way to blend the two together. Being that this will be probably in production within the next couple of years, 2026, 2027 is probably what I'm thinking. It's a big deal for Infiniti because Nissan, if you have not been keeping up, has really been struggling to figure out their financial book. Now, there has been rumor in the car community that they would at some point go bankrupt. I don't think anybody's going to let them fall. I think somebody's going to come in and try to change everything. But the truth is that since the days of Carlos Ghosn, which I've talked in that about many videos about Carlos Ghosn and how he was critical to the operations of Nissan, but also to the detriment of Nissan as he continues to run the narrative that it ain't the same without him. And that would be somewhat true. But in the same token, him not being there also has given the company an opportunity to breathe and really find themselves. The problem with Infiniti is that you're still trying to catch up instead of just leaping forward. And there's a lot of risk involved whenever you develop something like a twin turbo manual transmission for many different reasons, because if it's priced too high, then the consumers won't be able to get it. If dealers decide to mark it up in an extensive overreach, then people won't be able to afford it. And more importantly, what benefit do you get to producing that on your mass market in addition to your other models? Now, I'm going to go on record and say that two of the vehicles that really have ruined the Infiniti brand, this is just me, is the JX35 as well as the QX30. The QX30, not so much. I think that was just undermarketed, but the JX35 really is the bane of my existence, because it really represents when Infiniti stopped giving us top tier, stylish performance models and became family luxury. And I think that's the problem I've ran in with Acura as well, is that we're, as the enthusiasts, craving for performance, but it's always neutered, and we never like that. Given that they are trying to develop this manual transmission, I think it's a great idea, but I don't know if it's necessarily great in application. Now, when the Q60/G37 revamp was in its final years, it's sang a very quiet song that nobody heard, and that was the manual transmission of Infiniti going bye-bye, and we haven't really seen anything since. And the Q50 kind of has failed to compete against its counterparts, being that the interior has aged very poorly, as well as the design, and it's just not enough to have that much horsepower and rely off that as a selling point. All of that being said, Infiniti has said that they are willing to bring this back, and they're willing to appease the sport performance market and trying to do the same exact thing that the G35 did back in 2002/2003. Here's where I think it could go wrong, but here's where I see a level of opportunity. I think that if they bring it back, and they bring it back in a Halo style where it is the top tier and everything else falls back into it, and really put some innovation and some creativity into the performance, and more importantly, do and solidify the marketing like they used to do, because nobody really invests in their marketing now. It's just kind of like you're hoping for TikTok ads and you're hoping for Facebook ads, and you're not really focusing on marketing the car. If we really want to be honest, nobody really does marketing anymore. Everybody just kind of relies and hopes on word of mouth and hope that their friends and their family and, dealership incentives. Nobody really does marketing like they used to. And maybe that could be because we don't really watch TV anymore. We don't really watch the radio, whatever. I say all of that to say is that marketing plays a huge role in the performance of sales for a vehicle. And given that Infiniti has only really relied on rental fleet sales, and they've really relied on just hoping that people want a really good deal on a luxury car without luxury price tag, that's kind of not enough anymore, considering that many people are already stretched out on their budgets as is. In all fairness, the luxury space is already competitive, it's already tight. Even Mercedes and BMW are having some troubles trying to keep ahead, and they're considered to be top tier. Now, of course, they're always going to be at the top, but Infiniti used to be somebody, and they were always kind of the alternative, kind of the Audi of the Japanese performance market, in a sense of they were gravitating towards a different kind of luxury buyer. But I would love an Infiniti manual, and I don't know if the world is really ready for that return as much as I feel like it is a matter of just coming up with a good product. But we'll have more details going forward. But I really wanted to talk about that because this, on record, I said it, that this potential possibility of performance really could change the way that we perceive Infiniti. And we have not had a true performance Infiniti since 2014, which would be 11 going on 12 years ago. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. But anyway, you guys let me know how you feel about Infiniti potentially bringing back a manual, and if it's the right decision, and whether or not you would be interested if they brought it back. And if you stick around this far into the video, thank you. I appreciate your time. And until the next one, I will see you guys later.